Hi, this is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine, and this is the final test of your Kenmore 49. To start with, we're going to wind a bobbin. And there's a spool pin here to put your bobbin on. And there's a tiny hole in the side of the bobbin to put your thread through. Hold the little tail of your thread and give it several wraps to lock it in place so it doesn't come loose while you're winding. From your spool pin, or from your spool, you go to the tension device, which is below the hand wheel. Go between the discs of the tensioner. Let's see, yeah, like that. Up, let's see, to the bobbin winder. And put your spool on the pin of the bobbin winder. And then you flip the lever up. Flip the lever on the bobbin winder up, and declutch your hand wheel by turning the clutch knob towards you, a quarter turn or so, and you should be ready to wind. We're not going to wind the full bobbin since this is just for a test. We're going to leave about a 4-inch tail on the bobbin thread. Flip your lever down and tighten the clutch knob in the center of the hand wheel. Then your bobbin goes into the bobbin case, into the notch, then up through the notch, then up behind the little tab or tongue on the bobbin case, and that's your tension right there. And then of course it goes below the needle, and there's a little door here that holds it in place. To thread your machine, pass your thread through the upper thread guide, between the discs of the tension assembly and over the pin of the take-up, or the check spring, and into the eye of the check spring. Then you want to go from front to back through the take-up lever, down to the thread guide on the front, down to the thread guide on the needle, well, on the needle clamp, and then through the eye of the needle from left to right. And it's always good to cut a fresh end so you're not fighting the frays on the end of the thread. This machine has been adjusted to take universal needles, you don't have to go out and buy anything special for it. Hold the end of your thread and turn the hand wheel away from you, one full turn, to bring up the lower thread. Put the upper thread through the toes of the presser foot and both threads toward the back of the machine. You're threaded up and ready to go. Put your fabric under the presser foot down. Hold your threads for the first stitch or two, so the lock, you can set the lock stitch. This is your stitch length adjuster. Far right is reverse, far left is forward. Center is 0. You put it on 0, your needle goes up and down, but the fabric doesn't move. If you move towards the left, your stitch length gets longer and longer and longer, and closer to 0 is shorter and shorter. On the other side of 0, your reverse stitch lengths are short and longer and longer and longer. So we're going to set our stitch length at about 3. That could be 3 millimeters, or it could be 3 stitches per inch, but I think it's got to be millimeters. While this machine will sew garment leather, it's not made to sew shoe soles and belts and bolsters and heavy thick leather. For that you need an industrial machine. Lots of speed control with this machine. And she's working great. Being a rubber wheel driven mechanism rather than a belt or gear driven, it's a little bit not noisy, but you can hear the rubber wheel on the hand wheel. But she's sewing beautifully. Again, this is your tension assembly. It's set pretty much perfectly right now, but if you need a little more tension, you just turn it, not much, tiny bit, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. If it's too much, loosen it a little bit, but kind of stay in the range that it's in now. If you're sewing something thick and heavy, you might want a little more tension. If you're sewing something light and delicate, a little less tension. Here's your light switch. This is the adjustment for the pressure on your presser foot. And I think that's about it. But she's sewing beautifully, and she's ready to go to work for you. A little bit hard to get used to sewing on a wheel-driven machine, because they turn the opposite direction of most machines. The Singers, most of the Japanese Class 15 clones, all the modern machines, the hand wheel turns towards you in a counterclockwise motion. This machine turns in a clockwise motion away from you. So when you cycle your machine by hand, you want to cycle it towards the rear of the machine. The manual says don't ever oil it. That's because back when this machine was made, they were using a type of brass that for the bearings that holds oil, and after a number of years, that oil does eventually dry up. So the machine has been re-oiled. If it ever really starts bogging down and there's not thread wrapped around behind your hand wheel or around some other parts bogging it down, you may have to open it up and put a drop of oil in each movement point. In this section here, in this section here, and tip the machine back and look at what moves when you turn the hand wheel, and each of those motion points would get a drop of oil. Yeah, that's it. I'll get her packed up, and she should ship out today, and you should see her in less than a week. Thanks for watching. This is Mike from Stagecoach Road Vintage Sewing Machine.